Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Asics Novablast 5 at 50 plus miles. Granted that we love the Novablast series of shoes, the Novablast 4 was this incredible piece. We look at the 5 and all of its additional moving parts and we ask the question, is this a great successor or are we sticking with the predecessor? Let's discuss and find out. So before we get into the video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're already subscribed to watching the content. Thank you. Love you guys a lot. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Strava for all sorts of other updates and things like that. And I guess you can follow me on Runna, or I think you can. I'm not even 100% sure. But we are using it, so we're going to test out how that goes. But yeah, lots of cool updates coming up as well in the near future. So stand by and stay tuned for that. Without further ado, let's begin. Specs for the shoes up here. Let's take a look at the outsoles at 50 miles. And I will say this, just as a disclaimer for what you see. Not a lot of miles were done outside. This is probably 80% on treadmill, 20% outdoors right now, only because the weather absolutely sucked this week in the Chicagoland Midwest area. It was like -10. So in the science of trying to find out how badly these shoes were going to look, not a lot could be done. So you'll see kind of what's going on here. That's our left foot overall and our right foot. Again, like we mentioned before, I think, so I'm of the opinion, you guys can agree or disagree with me in the comments, treadmill wear on shoes is far less abrasive than if you run outside. The reason for that is usually the running is linear. You're running on a surface that's like this rubber sheet, depending on what you have, like whether it's one of those like Techno Gym or Trek treadmills, and you'll be usually running into some kind of like marbling that's on the treadmill, and the worst that I think happens is the shoe gets kind of polished and you'll pick up some dirt from the previous shoes that may have been on the treadmill. That being said, the rubber doesn't really take a beat down, the foam might not be beaten down as well, and I think that's perfectly emphasized with what's going on in the right foot, which is some good stuff overall. Like you can see, we've got this particular area of the shoe, the outsole anterior side, we're just picking up some treadmill dirt, but it's not really being worn in any sort of way. The trampoline of the shoe is also in pretty great condition. We can see, this is where I guess we get into some of our more interesting things to observe in the future, is we see a lot of dirt in, I guess, the crevices of the shoe, where I would usually expect debris to be picking up. So I wonder, this is probably true, it's just hard to see in real time because it's the bottom of the shoe, that this new rubber compound may have a little bit more sink, and it's possible that as a result, when you're hitting the trampoline portion of the shoe, it sinks a little bit more and you're using more of that foam as a rebound rather than the rubber surfaces. Hard to say, it's possible, it might be something worth exploring with the foam if this is the case, but that's just something I will be observing moving forward. Just not in this particular pair, as we'll get to in a minute, right? In our left foot, same kind of deal. We don't have a whole lot of rubber wear going across the shoe. Still looks just brand new, right? Like it's a little bit scuffed from treadmill dirt and a little bit from outside elements, and we have just our usual treadmill dirt and like muck just kind of sitting on the shoe, but it is in great shape. That being said, just at this time, right? So as the weather gets slightly warmer and I focus on being outside a little bit more when the sun is out, we'll you know, get through this and kind of figure it out and make sure we get some more of that outdoor mileage and wear this thing out a little bit more. Now, what is interesting, and I'm wondering if this is a manufacturing thing, I'm looking at both shoes to confirm this. This could be a manufacturing thing, but what is that? I'm seeing that just as of right this second, where it's like a gap or some sort of like foam rip on the shoe, and I wonder maybe if running on the treadmill at some point or walking in this shoe, if something just sort of ripped and this foam is starting to fall apart gradually. That'd be some poor manufacturing if that's the case. I'm looking at the right foot on the interior side. The gap isn't nearly as big if we like focus specifically on those center pieces. So that might be something really interesting to observe if I start wearing out the like interior sides of the shoe, which seem to be a little bit more profound because of the foam space or the foam stack kind of being on this side like a bubble, like pulsing, you know? Yeah, we'll leave that on the outsoles. Interior side of the shoe, like I said kind of in my intro video with this particular product, there's a lot of extra moving parts to it that I don't know if I'm a fan of, right? Like we have these additional like pole fly cables kind of running the first layer of shoelaces, which is supposed to keep the shoes like sort of structurally sound in terms of the shoelaces from bleeding in this particular area. Fine, it's okay, I'm not too stressed about that. But what's kind of bothering me more is like this pole strap on the tongue, which I guess is supposed to line up the gusseted tongue a little bit. But as you can see, the tongue, like the central area here, which is going to run the front of your foot, and the tongue don't typically sit well together, so it's like an additional moving adjustment piece, which in my opinion is just kind of cumbersome to deal with. And if it's not straight and you have like more OCD than I do when it comes to the shoes, that'll bother you for a really long time. If you like tie the shoe down and the tongue looks like this, right, and you're like, yep, ready to go, ready to start running with the pull tab of this shoe facing the inside rather than being straight along the tongue like this, whatever, fine, doesn't matter, okay? Let's get into performance stuff. So as we've discussed multiple times on this channel as well, this is where my first complaint comes in, by the way, and this is where you can all make fun of me. I don't care. It sounds like part of the comment section agrees with this as well. This is just not my color, okay? That being said, it's not a diss on the shoe for any sort of matter with this turquoise color, this like turquoise teal sort of scheme. I've seen people at my gym who have this shoe who make it work with like their outfits and whatnot when they're running on treadmills, but I can't pull this off. This, I don't know, it's just turquoise is not my color, right? That being said, I am returning this shoe, and I've already purchased my Novablast 5s in my second choice color scheme, which arguably should have been my first, right? It's this like white and teal color with this like ember colored heel. This is the shoe, right? And it's basically the same product, different colors, and I love this thing way more just right out of the box and just looking at it. It looks like one of those, like, you know, those old plastic cups that were like white and they had that like turquoise, that teal wave that kind of went across it. You know the pattern. It's like from the 80s, 90s. Yeah, this is the shoe. This is that shoe embodied. Or that's the design, that artwork embodied. If you know what it is in the comment section, just let me know what it is. But yeah, love it. And I think I'm going to enjoy just running faster in the shoe because the colors are way more radical than just straight up turquoise, right? So if you have the turquoise and you don't like it or you love it, not me dissing you, I'm just saying the color is kind of important here. Performance-wise, though, I will say this trampoline has a lot more oomph than I think the Novablast 4 had, which is a good thing because you want a little bit more bounce from the shoe overall. And this is something I noticed also in the Novablast 4 is that trampoline started dying out at like a little bit after 315 miles. I hope the shoe can push at least to 350 miles with the way this trampoline is built and just the strike point for the shoe being so profound, right? That's the main, propulsion piece, is making sure you can push off this particular area in order to get that rebound you'd be looking for. Also, just super comfortable all the way across. I have no complaints about the tie of the shoe other than like the pull strap. The heel cup and the hug from the shoe is just perfect. It's not too big, too small in the toe box. The temperature is just fine. The foam compound is, like I said, it seems to have a little bit more, I guess, more squish to it. And that's fine. It's not a big deal as long as the sink of the shoe isn't so bad that I'm not getting any rebound. It just feels like quicksand. We don't want that. So that being said, I think minus the additional parts on the Novablast 5, I think it's a fine upgrade to the Novablast 4. It's not like the greatest thing. They didn't like just reinvent the wheel and, do anything crazy with it. All they did was make a cheese wheel and say, voila, and that's what we kind of got here, right? Like, it's a cheese wheel. It's great, but it's not particularly special in this context of looking for new positive improvements. Like, we're adding decal designs, right? We're adding the pull tab, we're adding these like fly strings kind of running the shoe. Fine, if we decided that this is helping keep the lifespan of the upper sort of in good condition, fine. Like, Not for me to say with only 50 miles on the shoe. But that being said, I'm looking forward to ensuring that the foam doesn't die early on because it has a little bit more sink. That's all I'm just really looking for here. But it's hard to say anything too crazy at 50 miles because we just haven't hit like that critical point of 150 to 200 where we start really seeing sort of the beat down. But yeah, just a brief update on what's going on, that this shoe is getting returned. So the next time we have a review will be at 100 miles with my new pair. We won't do the 50-mile review on that just because it'll be redundant at this point unless there is something substantial I see when running 50 miles outdoors. So next time we talk about this thing, it'll be at 100 plus miles. But overall, my summary here is it's a fine successor to the Novablast 4. If you like the colors that it provides. Otherwise, you'd be just fine with the Novablast 4 as well. I think the technologies are overall pretty similar. If you're just like super microscopic about foam choices and shoelace patterns or textile pieces added to the shoe, then yeah, you can focus, you can hyperfixate on those as you will, but I think overall you'll do just fine in the Novablast 5 over the Novablast 4 at this time. So if you agree or disagree with the assessment, let me know in the comments below. If you have this shoe and love this color, also let me know. But if you saw yourself running faster in the totally radical color scheme that is here versus the turquoise, you should sound off in the comments, because I'll be sounding off at 100 plus miles as to how much faster I'm running in a shoe with this orange foam stack. You know what I mean? So I think we'll leave it at that for now. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.